Hey guys, Mike here with invisa-RED. Wanted to go over some handling and usage of your machine and your paddles. So first thing I want to go over is our emergency stop button here. Okay. Now if you go to turn your machine on and this emergency stop button is engaged, meaning that it's pressed down, okay, and you go to turn this key to the on position, the machine's not going to turn on. Okay. So if that's the case, make sure we have our emergency stop button disengaged by turning it a quarter turn clockwise. It'll pop back out at you. Then from there, once we switch it into the on position, our machine will turn right on. So once our machine's in the on position here and we're getting power, you'll hear the fans and the paddles immediately start moving, okay? At this point, when this key is in the on position, okay, these paddles do not need to be handled, okay? And I can't reiterate that enough. Do not, in any circumstance, handle these paddles while this machine is on. Okay, so once again, while the machine is running, we cannot handle the paddles. Okay, so we make sure that our ignition is in the off position before we're going to handle these paddles. Okay, whether that's putting someone on, taking them off, or even just cleaning them or anything like that. The machine needs to be in the off position. Okay, so next thing is the handling of the paddles. When we handle these things, okay, we want to make sure that we're being careful with them, okay? There are, on the front side of this, the diode plate, we've got 26 diodes, as you can see. When this thing is in use and turned on, okay, you'll only be able to actually see 13 of these lights if you were to look at them while it was running, okay? The reason being is because 13 of them are going to be our red visible light. The other 13 are going to be invisible infrared light. Okay, so on the back side of this guy, we've got 3 little vents here. All right, our cooling fan is behind these vents. We want to make sure that when we're handling these, we're not putting down a bunch of pressure on these vents because we could pop that fan in there. So when we're handling them, let's try and keep all the handling done on the side of the paddles or here on the back. All right. We also never want to grab this thing by the cord and swing it around or anything like that. Let's treat these things well and they'll do well for us, okay? So, when we are connecting these things together, if you'll notice, each paddle has a side of female connectors along with male connectors, okay? So, if we want to add this paddle to these paddles, all I do is simply line up my male connector with my female connector. All right, and I use minimal force to snap them together. Okay, I make sure that while I'm doing this, I am over the table, making sure that these paddles aren't too close to the edge where they can fall off or anything like that. And even if I'd like to, I can use my body, put it against my bed to make sure that when I'm taking them apart, these things don't scoot around and fall off the table. So when these things are coming apart, same thing, we use minimal force to pop them apart, and then we can disconnect them. Be very careful putting these together. Make sure both male connectors are lined up before we put force against it, because if we get one in and one out, we will break one of the male connectors, okay? Another common thing that happens is when we are pulling these things apart, people use too much force here, and one of the paddles will slide down and smack against the other, and that will cause breakage as well. So once again, be careful with your paddles. Okay, we understand things happen, accidents do happen, but a lot of the issues that we see are because people aren't being careful with their paddles. So just to review, let's make sure our machine is in the off position when we are handling the paddles at any time. All right, and then if we go to turn our machine on and it doesn't turn on, take a look at your emergency stop button. It may be engaged. We'll need to disengage that in order to get the machine on. So one more time, don't handle the paddles when the machine is in the on position. All right, any more questions, you can email us at training@invisa-red.com. Thanks.